Hey everybody. So over the last few months, I've been having a lot of conversations with people in my community in Bethesda, Maryland. It's the community that I served and I've served for a long time. And I've been quite surprised to learn that many people in the area, and this is probably true of a lot of cities or maybe the entire country, are really struggling with the idea of purpose and sometimes just loneliness as well. Combination of not having a purpose they feel they're going to fulfill or believe they have a purpose to serve, and also just having a hard time finding a companion. This is something I wasn't aware a lot of people were struggling with. I've closed myself up for the last 4 years, so opening up to these kind of conversations has really opened my eyes. And I wanted to share some of the things that I've learned that I think a lot of people already know, but I just think it's good to hear from someone else. So when you're really struggling with a lack of purpose or just loneliness, something that will not fix it is self-worth or self-love. And I think it's super important that you do learn to love yourself, that you do find that value. With working with people, I know that a lot don't even have that. So I wouldn't discount the idea that learning to love yourself, learning to value yourself, learning to understand that you're worthy of love and belonging, it's super important. But it's not going to completely fulfill you. And I just think you need to know that, because once you attain that, you'll feel some happiness and joy for a while, but ultimately there's still going to be something missing. The other thing I've learned that doesn't fulfill you or make you feel like worth having a purpose is friends and family, and particularly family. The people you love and the people that love you, you can't just live your life for them. That won't be enough. And I remember when I was suicidal, my mom really wanted me to not give up on life for her. And I remember how furious that made me, because I didn't feel like I should be here just for her. Now, if you're just struggling with purpose and you're not really at rock bottom, you still can't find purpose and value in living your life based on the people you care about. What I've learned is that the people that are the happiest, the people that really are, and no one's ever completely happy or completely joyful, but the people that don't struggle with purpose or loneliness or lack of companionship are those that understand, or a better way of saying it, those that believe that there's a higher purpose for them. Over the last 6 months, I've really focused on building my relationship with God. And I remember 6 months ago when I was really struggling. I had just finished a renovation of the academy. It looked great. Everyone's congratulating me. And all I wanted to do was take a flamethrower to the place and burn it down, just because I felt so empty and unfulfilled. I got it in my head that if I could just fall in love with God, that if I could just rededicate my life to God, that everything would be okay. And here's what I've learned from the last 6 months and really working on my relationship with God and building a love for God. Finding that purpose with a higher power is useful, it's helpful, but not necessarily for the reasons a lot of people will think. One of the biggest value that I've gotten out of the last 6 months in just pursuing God and surrendering to God is just learning how to be a better person in relationships. If you can communicate with a deity who is invisible and chooses not to use a voice, I'm not talking about a voice in your head or words in the Bible, but if you just can't hear a sound, if you can build that relationship, then you can become really good at building relationships with people you can see, people you can hear, if you can learn to be silent still and listen to God, you can learn to listen to others. And if you can learn to be present in a relationship with someone you can't see or feel, then you're going to be much better at being in a relationship with someone you can see and feel. And so one of the biggest values that I've gotten out of building my relationship with God is just understanding how to be good in relationships. The most important part of that, though, for me has been a fear of taking God for granted. I've done that so many times in the past. Like, I've had good relationships with God before, but I've always lost them or walked away. And why I think it's making me better at other relationships is because eventually I think we just take the people we love for granted. And Dwayne Johnson has a really good thing on this. For him, it's really just about success. And whenever he's pursuing a goal, he always remembers the hard time. His production company's called $7 Productions because he wants to remember the time in his life when he only had $7 in his pocket. For me, the way I look at it is I think back to the sheer emptiness and loneliness and hollowness that I felt 6 months ago, where despite everything seemed like it's going well, I just wasn't fulfilled. And so as my relationship with God has really improved and I become much better at relationships with others, I keep that in the back of my mind. I keep that loneliness, that just that sadness and that lack of purpose reminded me that I cannot take what I've gained for granted. I cannot take my relationship with God for granted. And I think as I build other relationships, it'll help me understand that no matter how good things get, don't take them for granted. So to me, that's been huge. And there's so much more that I want to share on this, but I want to keep this video short. So for right now, I'm just going to stop there and sort of reemphasize. I understand that pursuing God can be hard, and conceptually thinking about, I'm going to pursue something I can't see or hear. But I think the value that comes from that, and maybe one of the reasons why God does it, and I'm sure there's more than one reason why God does it the way he does, is because it's going to make us masters at relationships. It's going to make us masters at listening, at seeking, at searching. But most importantly for me, what I've gotten out of this is that I don't ever want to go back to those feelings of emptiness and loneliness. It was just so horrible. It's just such a vast sadness that I felt, that I cling to focusing on God and not taking him for granted, not forgetting him, not putting him in the back burner, continuing to do the things that I need to do: pray, read my Bible, fast, worship, and just enjoy life. Just take gratitude. I think gratitude's probably the biggest thing I've gotten, is that in the evenings when I pray, I only say thank you. And I thank God even for the challenges, the difficult things. And I think that's something that we can work on with our actual relationships, saying thank you to the people we love and just reminding them that we're grateful for them and we're not going to take them for granted. So I hope these videos are useful. I'm enjoying sharing my journey, and I will share more about this next week, but the video's already too long. Thank you.